Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, my NBA Finals recap. They did it. My New York Knicks took care of business. So we will talk about the 5-game series, kind of letting the cat out the bag. Also, we'll talk about the teams as far as what's next for each team out of the Knicks and the Spurs as well. So, all that and more. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, it's your boy GD back with the All Things Basketball with GD podcast. And, guys, we are done. We are finished. Your NBA finals are over. So that's a beautiful thing. And when all is said and done, one team emerges. One team rises to the occasion. One team grasps the brass ring. And that is the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks taking on the San Antonio Spurs in a series that just took my breath away, guys. So, of course, we know the New York Knicks was the 3 seed in the East with a 53-29 record going against the 2 seed in the West, the San Antonio Spurs, who sat at 62-20 for the season, guys. So the Knicks were the underdog in this series. Make no mistake about it. Regardless of the way they came into this series, where they were like a house on fire, guys. 11 straight going into these NBA finals. So, nonetheless, let's get into it. Before I get into the series itself, I want to take you back, guys. I want to take you back to December 16th when the Knicks won the NBA Cup. A lot of people, they didn't make a big deal out of it. The Knicks took it serious. And in that game, which was kind of a mirror to the series that we will see in the finals. In this game, it was a close game, but the Spurs, believe it or not, they were up by 11, as much as 11 in this game, and they led after 3 quarters, 94-89. And then the Knicks in the 4th quarter came and showed up and showed out. 35-19 in that final period, thus getting the win. 124-113, guys. So they end up winning the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup. And guys, my big takeaway was the rebounding. They out-rebounded them 67-56, guys. Huge for the Knicks. And then remember, too, guys, Wemby had just came back. He had missed time. He had just came back, so they were bringing him off the bench. In fact, in this game here, he was brought off the bench. But nonetheless, the Knicks get the win. In that game, OG Anunoby, he showed out, guys. 28 points, 9 rebounds, and he got 5 3-pointers in that among those 28 points. Jalen Brunson, 25 for him, along with 8 assists. He didn't shoot it all that great, but in that 4th quarter, he rose to the occasion, as always. And then also in that game, guys, they got big-time contributions from their bench. The combination of Jordan Clarkson and also Tyler Kolek, who was playing at the time, because Deuce McBride, I believe he was hurt at the time. So they needed point guard minutes, and Tyler Kolek actually played a very good game in that NBA Cup final. Also, you got contribution from Mitchell Robinson coming off your bench, 15 points with 2 blocks. And then Karl Anthony Towns, he was hobbled coming into this game. He had a calf injury, guys. But nonetheless, he gets this double-double, 16 points, 11 rebounds for the Knicks. On the other side, in that game, Dylan Harper led the way with 21 points. He shot 5 threes in the game along with 7 rebounds. Victor Wembanyama, like I said, coming off the bench, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks for him. Stephon Castle, he had a double-double, 15 points, 12 assists. And De'Aaron Fox, 16 points, 9 assists. But the Knicks win this contest. Now, like I said, this kind of sets the stage, if you will, for the finals that we will see. And of course, a lot of people picked the Spurs. Obviously, they were the darling of the ball, so to speak. So, on to game one, guys. Game one, which started, like I said, June 3rd, guys. Game one. In a game where the Knicks were down by 14 and down big time. Well, actually, no, they were tied after 3. Heading into that fourth quarter, they outscored the San Antonio Spurs 29-19, thus getting the win in game one, 105-95, giving them 12 straight wins in the playoffs, guys. The big thing that stood out to me, the defense of the Knicks. They held San Antonio to 36% shooting from the field, and from 3, 25.6%. So the Knicks D showed up and showed out, guys. Your players that led the way in that first game, Jalen Brunson, 30 points. Just another day at the office for Captain Clutch. Karl Anthony Towns started off this series impressive. 18 points, 12 rebounds, and playing some tremendous defense. I told you guys coming into this, Karl Anthony Towns is playing some of the best defense I've seen him play in his career. Let me go out on that limb. In his career, he played some fantastic defense. You got contributions from your bench. Landry Shamet, he had 13 points. Josh Hart had an all-around game, guys. He had 15 rebounds, guys. 6 assists and 4 steals. An absolute force for the Knicks. And then Mitchell Robinson, keep an eye out on this. Only played 13 minutes, 6 rebounds. But his presence will be needed as the series goes on. Let me continue. For the Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks. But he had hell to pay, guys. Only shot 6 for 21 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3. And he went to the line 13 times, made all but 1. So, but Wemby giving fits in game 1. Then you had Stephon Castle, 17 points, 8 rebounds. Justin Champagnie, he had 16 points along with 10 rebounds as well. And he dropped 5 threes in the game. I told you, we cannot let him go off from 3. That cannot happen in this series, guys. That just can't happen. So there is that. And then also Dylan Harper coming off your bench, 16 points along with 8 rebounds for him. I'm sorry, Julian Champagnie. I always get the player in Washington mixed up with him. But nonetheless, Julian Champagnie with the 16 points and 10 rebounds. So the Knicks get game 1. We shift to game 2, a game that I watched. I went to a watch party Again, shout out to Knicks Omni fan, Jen and Jazz, doing an excellent job as usual. Tremendous time there. And in game two, you had tomfoolery taking place in San Antonio. In this game, guys, the Knicks were actually up going into this third quarter. Actually, this is one of the few games, well, the only game where they actually had a lead going into the fourth quarter. But San Antonio came roaring back, made it a close game, guys. Made it very close. But mistakes were made down the stretch, and the Knicks prevail. 105 to 104. And in this game, the big story here is the field goal percentage. And Knicks were down by 12 in this one, by the way. So your second game where you're down double digits. Knicks only shot at 41.6% from the field, whereas San Antonio, much better, 47.4% for them. In this game, Karl Anthony Towns, again, continuing his tremendous play, guys. 21 points, 13 rebounds. Jalen Brunson, a quiet 20 points, along with 6 assists, 5 rebounds for him. Mikal Bridges, he started to heat up in this game, and he played a huge role down, keeping them within the margin, so to speak. 20 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. OG Anunoby, 17 points, along with 4 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals. So you had all-around contributions from your starters, minus Josh Hart. He had actually a bad game in this one. Landry Shamet, 13 off your bench. And then only 7 points for Mitchell Robinson, playing 14 minutes. So there you go there. On the Spurs side, Victor Wembanyama, they tried to give him an opportunity to be the hero, and it didn't happen for him. 29 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks, 2 steals for him. De'Aaron Fox had a solid game. And then also in this game is where Victor Wembanyama, he got away with one, guys. He tosses Jalen Brunson down, and no one caught it. And then you hear, they're going to review the play. The league office going to review the play. And you know what? He never got a flagrant for it. So there's that. And then De'Aaron Fox joined with Jalen Brunson, so much so that, his father, Rick Brunson, he's an assistant coach. He got up and say, don't do that. Don't do that. You're not tough like that, to De'Aaron Fox, which is true. You ain't no killer or anything like that on the court, De'Aaron. What are you even doing? So I digress. 20 points along with 20 points and 15 assists. Yeah, so he had a good game. Devin Vassell, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Stephon Castle, 14 points, and then Dylan Harper off your bench with 13. But the Knicks get the win in game 2, which was on June 5th. Thus setting the stage for game 3. Now, game 3, you're coming to Madison Square Garden, one of the biggest games in New York in quite some time. So much so that the owner, James Dolan, decides to extend an invite to the president. So there's that, which means the Garden now became Fort Knox, basically. Fenced up. Nothing could happen within a 5-block radius. So you absolutely killed the businesses in the area for all that's worth. And yeah, so it, you know, a lot of people feel, and I understand, the vibe was killed in game 3. So, in this game, first quarter, San Antonio jumps out to the lead there. The Knicks come back in the second quarter and actually go into halftime with a 7-point lead. But the second half belonged to the San Antonio Spurs, guys. And when all was said and done, guys, San Antonio gets their win, 115 to 111, guys. The big story, and the Knicks were down by as much as 12 in this game. They lose by 4. The big story, points off turnovers, guys. San Antonio with the advantage, 21 to 7. So there you go there. In this game, Wemby finally has a breakout performance, 32 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks, 2 steals. Stephon Castle with his better game in this series, 23 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. Dylan Harper, 13 points for him, 9 rebounds, 4 assists coming off your bench. And De'Aaron Fox, not such a great game, 12 points with 8 assists. For the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, rock solid. He did all he could. 32 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. OG starts to come to life, guys. 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks for him. And in this one, guys, too, Karl Anthony Towns, he gets into, they start calling these ticky-tack fouls on him, guys. It's pure nonsense. So, and then we see more shenanigans with Wemby in this one. But nonetheless, Josh Hart, 16 points. He had one of his better games, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Karl Anthony Towns, only 11 points with 8 rebounds. He was plagued with foul trouble. Jordan Clarkson gives you something nice off the bench, 10 points. And Mitchell Robinson only played the 7 minutes, guys. He did have 5 points, 4 rebounds. But again, it sets up for him to play a larger role. On to game 4 at the Garden. This game, to me, was the biggest game of the series because the pendulum could have shifted. It could be either tied up with San Antonio winning, and thus the Knicks now have to win at least one more game on the road plus a home game in order to win the series. Or the Knicks could get the 3-1 advantage, kind of rest easy, go back to San Antonio and take care of business. Game 4. I mean, they were absolutely flat. Guys, they were down as much as 29 in this game. Then they started to mount the comeback. By halftime, and then going into that third quarter, things started to shift, guys. And what happened was you got a young team, a young Spurs team feeling themselves even early in that game because this was another game. Karl Anthony Towns, early foul trouble. So Mitchell Robinson had to come in. Mitchell Robinson, now, bear in mind, Wemby takes another shot at Brunson. And in fact, Jose Alvarado, he made it known. He said, you got away with one in game 3. Game 4 and beyond, that's not happening. And Alvarado was true to his word. In fact, they tussled a bit in this one. But nonetheless, the Knicks mounted their comeback, guys. And then the fourth quarter came and that's when Mike Brown did something in this series that he hadn't done. He brought in Jose Alvarado to play the bulk of that for a quarter, which allowed Jalen Brunson to play off the ball and kind of get going, which did happen. And then you had OG Anunoby, who played the game of his life in game 4. And then this sets the stage. Let me set it up. Josh Hart had a fast break where it was him and another guy. Blanking on the name, I forget who it was. And he pretty much had a layup. It bounced off the rim and it was no good. So, of course, he, right now he's the GOAT of the game. When I GOAT being greatest of all time, he'll be the bad guy if the Knicks don't pull this thing out. So he goes on the other end, forces a turnover. Then now, you also have the tomfoolery of the Aaron Fox thing, and he can go in for a layup and kind of be the hero. OG Anunoby said, not today, and got the block. Thus setting up the last play. Not much time left on the clock. The Knicks down 1. Ball comes inbounds. OG Anunoby is the inbounder. Throws it to Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson takes a long 3, which everybody in the arena was like aghast. And then, out of the sky, OG Anunoby, with his fingertips, tips it in. 2 points. Knicks up 105 to 104 with 1.2 seconds left on the clock. Do the San Antonio Spurs have a miracle in them? With 1.2 left. So, here's what happened. I'll set it up. In the inbounds, you had Dylan Harper. I don't know why they had a rookie bringing the ball inbounds, but what do I know? Dylan Harper bringing the ball, doing the inbounds. Then Karl-Anthony Towns, through brilliance, told the people, because they were right on the sideline there, and Celebrity Row was there. And he told the people there to kind of huddle up around Dylan Harper to make it uncomfortable for him. They did that, and plus added to that, Karl-Anthony Towns tipped the ball. So it wasn't a clean pass going into Stephon Castle, and he was unable to make it was going to be a lob play, but thanks to Karl-Anthony Towns' outstretched hands and the defense played by Josh Hart, it wasn't to be. The Knicks prevail, 105-104, pulling off the greatest comeback in NBA history in the playoffs. So, heroes abound, guys. The big story in this game, the field goal percentage. Knicks, 46.2%. The Spurs, with that huge lead and all that they were doing, ended up shooting it less than 42% from the field. Absolutely amazing. Points off turnovers, they actually had another advantage. San Antonio 24-11. But nonetheless, the Knicks get the win. Jalen Brunson, absolutely a masterpiece. 36 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals for him. OG Anunoby, a career playoff high, 33 points. 7 threes he drops in this game as well. And 4 rebounds for him. Karl-Anthony Towns, he had the 2 early fouls, but he still played a significant role, guys. 13 points with 10 rebounds. Again, some pretty nasty defense on Wemby. And then Jose Alvarado, 8 points in that fourth quarter that were critical in the game. He dropped 2 threes, by the way. So that's your heroes for the Knicks. Victor Wembanyama, 14 points, 13 rebounds, 3 blocks. Again, he was locked up, guys. 9 for 25 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3, and 4 from 7 from the free throw line. Missing crucial free throws in that fourth quarter, by the way, guys. So, again, a young team giving up a huge lead like that, absolutely demoralizing. Dylan Harper off the bench. It seems like his play is beginning to rise in this series. 21 points, 4 rebounds coming off the bench. De'Aaron Fox, 18 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. But the boneheaded play where he tried to go in for the layup that OG Anunoby blocked and denied him of opportunity. Stephon Castle, 13 points, guys, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He had foul trouble in this game, and also he ended up tweaking something in this game as well. I wouldn't say it was an ankle, but nonetheless, he played a shell of himself after this one. Setting the stage to Game 5. And me at a watch party in the city, living dangerously because if they clinch that night, the city's going to go haywire. But I was at a watch party again. Shout out to Knicks Omni fan. I was there representing my girls, Jen and Jazz. So went there to the game, and the scene shifts back to San Antonio, guys. So the Knicks going on a business trip. Are they going to allow San Antonio get back in this by winning on their home floor, or are they going to seal the deal? In this one, the Knicks were, again, got out to the slow start, down by as much as 16, and then Captain Clutch to the rescue, guys. At one point, he had half of the Knicks' points. That's how good a game he had. So when all was said and done, when all was to be had, the captain shows up and shows out. And when all is said and done, the Knicks prevail, guys. 94-90. This game was ugly. The shooting was ugly. No team above 40% from the field. In fact, the Knicks 35.6% from the field, and San Antonio 38.4%. In fact, to give you an idea, between Karl Anthony Towns, who had a horrific game, again plagued with foul trouble, Josh Hart didn't shoot it all that great either. OG Anunoby fell down to earth after his tremendous game 4. Between those three, they combined for 8 for 29 from the field. Not good, guys. Not good. Jalen Brunson, though, 45 points, guys. Among those 4 threes, and he had 2 steals in the game. So Jalen Brunson said, look, it's time for this team to head to the promised land, and I'm going to carry them on my back. That's how it went down. Also, Mitchell Robinson coming off your bench, playing crucial minutes, 19 minutes to be exact, 10 rebounds, and again, frustrating Wembanyama on the defensive end. For the Spurs, Dylan Harper leads the way, 25 points. Like I said, the young man began to rise. His play began to rise. So much so, a lot of people were saying, and I was wondering it too, at the start of the fourth quarter, I see the kid sitting on the bench. I'm like, he was there for a while too. I was like, I don't know what Mitch Johnson is doing, but hey, it's helping my team. So what do I care? But the kid had a fine series. Like I said, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Victor Wembanyama, only 19 points, 14 rebounds. He did have 5 blocks. He had some crucial blocks in this game. Shot at 7 for 19 from the field. Again, a house of horrors for him. 1 for 6 from 3. So there's that. Julian Champagnie, 14 points. He dropped 4 threes in this game. So he was getting hot early, but they shut him down later, along with 7 rebounds. And between Castle and De'Aaron Fox, now they're saying De'Aaron Fox had a high ankle sprain. Of course, now with the series over, they say that. But they both combined for 13 points, guys. They shot it 4 for 26 from the field. And then 1 for 11 from 3. You cannot have a backcourt do that in a deciding championship game. You can't have that happen, guys. You can't. So, with that said, the Knicks prevail on San Antonio's home court. To give you history, guys, in the 1998-99 Knicks, that was the 8th seed that made it all the way to the NBA Finals, only to face the big and bad Spurs, who they lost to in 5 games. And it played out just the same way as this did. 2 games won by the San Antonio Spurs. Then game 3, the Knicks get, because the scene shifts to home, to Madison Square Garden. And back then they had the 2-3-2 format, as opposed to today it's 2-2-1-1-1. So you had 3 games straight at Madison Square Garden. In game 5, which was at Madison Square Garden, the Spurs win and they celebrate and they get their championship on the Knicks home court. In 2025-26, the Knicks return the favor and they celebrate in San Antonio, getting the win and thus winning the NBA championship. So, kudos to the Knicks, of course. We'll talk about the averages for this series. Jalen Brunson. And it's funny because in game 4, after OG's magnificent performance, and then even earlier with game 2, a lot of people were saying, oh, maybe OG can be the finals MVP. Oh, maybe Karl Anthony Towns. But when all was said and done, Captain Clutch showed up and showed out, especially in the clinching game with 45 points, which, oh, by the way, is a Knick record. No Knick in playoff history has scored as much points in one game as Jalen Brunson, 45 points. So he averaged in this series over 32.5 points. He had over 4.5 assists, over 4 rebounds, 2 steals for the captain. Shooting it, not all that great from the field, guys. Only above 42%. He was pretty good from 3, nearly 39%. And then from the free throw line, 86. You'll take that. OG Anunoby, the second leading scorer in this series, scoring over 21 points per game, along with nearly 5 rebounds. Karl Anthony Towns averaging a double-double, 13 points and over 10.5 rebounds. But you had heroes all over the place. We'll talk about that later. For the Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, he did average 26 points, over 11 rebounds, and over 3.5 blocks in the series. So there you go there. But the field goal percentage, just above 42%. That's not what you want from your 7'4" center. You don't want that. And from 3, he was 9 for 33. You don't want your sitter shooting 33 3-pointers. But that's the way they roll in San Antonio. What can you do? Dylan Harper had a fine series, like I said, averaging the 18 points, the second leading scorer. and nearly 6.5 rebounds. Stephon Castle didn't have fine series, not like the series before where they played the Oklahoma City Thunder. He was held at bay. Give major props to Mikal Bridges, who did a job on him. Over 14 points, 14 and a half points per game, uh, over 5 rebounds, 4 assists. It shot it horribly, like I said, 37.7% from the field. He was 3 of 20 from 3, not good. And then De'Aaron Fox, only averaging just under 13 points and 6 assists. He too shot it horribly from the field, 34.7%. And then from 3, he was 7 for 28. So think about it. Your backcourt in this series, only 11 of 48 from 3. Not going to get it done, guys. And then think about this, too. I even mentioned this guy's name in the series. Keldon Johnson, who ended up being the 6th man of the year, someone I picked to be the 6th man of the year for the season. They said he had the lowest points for a 6th man of the year winner, averaging 4.4 points per game in this series. Mind you, in the season, he averaged 16 and a half points. So he was put under lock and key by the Knicks. So there you go there. All right, so let us talk about records. We'll talk about records. Then we'll talk about what's next for the San Antonio Spurs. And then what's next for the Knicks. And we will highlight the heroes and those who showed up for the Knicks. So, records. The Knicks are the first team to win an NBA Cup and an NBA championship in the same season. So they are the first team to do that. So there you go there. Their run of 16-3, guys. Absolutely amazing. And their 13 straight, because they ended up winning 13 straight, is the second best in playoff history. First being the Golden State Warriors, the 2016-17 team, won 15 straight. Oh, by the way, Coach Mike Brown was part of that coaching staff. In fact, there was a time where he ended up coaching. I think Steve Kerr had to miss some of those games. I think he had an emergency surgery that he had. But, yeah, Mike Brown ended up coaching, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that. Also, the longest title drought in history, 53 years, guys. 53 years that drought took place for the Knicks, winning in 1973. So 53 years later, they win the NBA championship. Let's see. I'm still looking at that. No, that wasn't then. That was at the start of the season. Yeah, but Mike Brown was a part of that start because he ended up coaching. No, that was Luke Walton. Anyhow, let me finish. The first team to win a championship trailing by double digits in each of their wins, which is what the Knicks did. Oh, by the way, Spurs had double-digit leads in all 5 games. Game 1, 14. Game 2, 12. Game 3, 12. Game 4, 29, which the Knicks overcame. And Game 5, 16. So there you go there. biggest margin of victory at nearly 15 points, but that they were beating their opponents by, thus beating the record by the 1970-71 Milwaukee Bucks, who had a margin of victory of 14 and a half points. So Knicks making history there. Largest point differential owned by the Knicks at plus 280 points, beating the same Golden State Warriors of 2016-17 with 230. Since 1996-97, the Knicks have the best record of teams facing double-digit deficits in the playoffs, going 6-2 in the playoffs, guys. Mind you, 4 of those victories were in this series, and then you had the one in the Cleveland series when they were down by 22. Remember that? So there you go there. Jalen Brunson, again, like I said, he scores a Knick record 45 points. Also, his regular season scoring average, 19.2 points. His playoff average, 26 points. That is the largest gap in scoring. It's 6.8 points above his career average, which is an NBA record. So there you go there. Like I said, his 45 points, most in Knick history. Also, is tied for first, guys, for most points in a clinching game on the road. He is tied with, name you're familiar with, Michael Jordan, who scored 45 points in 1998 on the road at the Utah Jazz. So there you go there. And it's the third most in NBA history, with the 50 points scored by Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bob Pettit in a clinching game. So there you go there, guys. All right, so that's all the record stuff as far as that goes. Let us continue. What's next for the San Antonio Spurs? Well, in this series, Victor Wembanyama, remember he was the darling, everybody loved him. Now he turns the villain, guys, and all the stuff he got away with, all the flagrant stuff that he skated by and didn't get penalized for. So there's that. A lot of people are sour on him for that. So there you go there. A lot of people are clamoring now for a future backcourt of Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle. Where does that leave a guy like De'Aaron Fox? I don't know. I don't know where it leaves them, because he just signed a 4-year extension, guys, where he's getting $229 million, guys, for the next 4 years, starting the 2026-27 season. So, the Spurs will say, you know what, let's run it back. He did have the ankle sprain, so maybe if healthy, things will be different. So, where does it leave a Dylan Harper? Not sure. Could you get away with starting all 3 of those guys? And maybe your 4th person? I know one thing, though. I think after this series, I think they're going to maybe try and find a more traditional power forward to play next to Wemby, because, too many opportunities under the basket, offensive rebounds the Knicks were getting, thanks to the likes of a Mitchell Robinson, also a Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, a Josh Hart. So I think they may look at getting a player that plays more closer to the basket to offset what Wemby does. I don't know. It will be a good fit for them, but will he want to go there and be the teacher, if you will, to these young pups? It would be Draymond Green, believe it or not. He would be an addition there that would help this team. Is he going to leave Steve Kerr and Steph Curry? Is he going to do that? I don't know if he does, but remember, he has the player option, so there's that. But that's somebody they could use. Salary cap for them, $152.6 million. So they have some space. They have some space to add guys. Right now, the free agents are Harrison Barnes, who barely played in this series, guys. He makes $19 million, so that falls off the books. Kelly Olynyk, making $13.4 million. I don't know who paid him that kind of money, but what do I know? Jeremy Sochan, who actually ended up with the Knicks. So his $7 million falls off the books. Bismack Biyombo, his $3.6 million comes off the books. Julian Champagnie, he has a team option at $3 million. The team will opt in on that. I'm pretty sure of that. And then Mason Plumlee making $1.1 million. So there's space to make improvements for San Antonio. You know, everybody's saying, hey, they're not going anywhere. So, you know, and Mitch Johnson, young coach in this league. Did he get outcoached in this series? No doubt about it. But this is a young team. I think they'll be back. I think they'll be okay. Depending on the moves they make in the offseason, they're gonna be in the hunt. It's just that simple. But Wemby, number one, he has to bulk up. Number two, he's got to learn how to pass. You know, as a big man, he's got to learn how to pass it out, and get his guys involved. Because right now, when he gets the ball, it's like a black hole. So there you go there. But that is the story of the San Antonio Spurs. Congratulations. They had a fine season. They had a very fine season. Like I said, I've been saying all season, no one predicted them being the second seed in the West. So they are ahead of schedule, and they'll be fine. They'll be okay. When we got to change his ways a bit, but I digress. So that's the story for the San Antonio Spurs. Now to my New York Knicks. Looks like everyone, as far as the starters go, are locked in. In fact, your starters will take up the bulk of the salary cap, which is at $202.4 million. In fact, your starters make $191.5 million. So there you go there. Only other players that's under contract besides the five starters are Tyler Kolek at $2.2 million, and then Deuce McBride. Remember, he gave them the discount, so he's there at $3.9 million. So there you go there. So your free agents are Mitchell Robinson, making nearly $13 million. Jose Alvarado actually has a player option for $4.5 million. Will he opt in? I think he does. I think he loves it here. So, Brooklyn kid, played at Christ the King, loyal to the soil. So, I think he opts in, to be honest, at that $4.5 million. I think he does. Jordan Clarkson at $3.6 million. Not sure what happens with him. Landry Shamet, initially I'm of the belief that he'll command some big money on the market. But the one thing with him, he's kind of injury prone. But when he plays, he balls out, man. So could I see him returning? I could. I could. So there's that. Pacom Didiot, who has a team option at 2.9 million. I'll be interested to see where he falls as far as that goes. I think the Knicks are more geared towards keeping a Mohamed Diawara, who is raw, but he has a lot of promise, guys. In fact, he's a free agent at 1.2 million. I think they try and lock him up before he hits the market, guys. I think he has that kind of promise. And Ariel Hokporti, your third center, making 1.9 million. I think he's a guy you could end up bringing back as well. So, Leon Rose, it's a good problem to have now that he's an NBA champion executive now. So, I've been saying for years that, he's been getting kind of dissed as far as, when you have the executive of the year. He's pulled off some pretty good moves here. And for him not to get consideration is beyond me. I don't get that. But there you go there. So there's that. Let's talk about Mike Brown. Mike Brown, who has been around for a while. I started looking at his resume. He took a young LeBron James team to the finals in Cleveland in 2006, 2007 against, by the way, the San Antonio Spurs, who swept them. So Mike Brown gets his revenge as far as that goes. But listen, he is now a championship coach as a head coach. He's been an assistant coach where he's won championships under the Golden State Warriors. But now he's got his opportunity to shine. And then he has over 500 wins, guys. He's at 507 right now. So he has a win percentage of over 60%, guys. And in the playoffs, oddly enough, he has a playoff percentage of over 60%. So if Mike Brown can get another 493 wins, get 1,000 wins as a coach, that would absolutely solidify him as a Hall of Famer. Maybe get another championship. If not here, maybe somewhere else. I don't rule that out, but he has 2 final appearances on his resume. He's won 1 championship, so he's been coach of the year twice in his career. So Mike Brown, he's knocking towards a Hall of Fame career as a coach. If he sticks with it, if he's able to get another one, I think with the one he has a chance. Even if things went awry, I think he has a chance. But this definitely solidifies a case for him going forward. So there you go. There, Rick Brunson as the assistant coach and being Jalen's father. Now remember, when Mike Brown was being hired, one of the stipulations was he had to keep on Rick Brunson as assistant coach. And that, I did question it a little bit, but it actually worked out for everyone's favor here. So Rick Brunson, a key part of this coaching staff. And definitely kudos. He has the father and son moment there with Jalen. So absolutely wonderful. In fact, so much so I have it amongst my pictures in the box there. So kudos there. And then Jalen Brunson. I went back to my episode where I talked about the signing of Jalen Brunson. Now, remember, guys, he had scheduled meetings not only with the Knicks, although a lot of people felt it was a fait accompli. He did have scheduled meetings with Dallas and with the Miami Heat. So he had suitors, but it seems that he was locked into coming to New York. So um, I'll use the words of Alan Hahn. He always says it. The Knicks, New York Knicks jersey is the heaviest jersey in the NBA. And I absolutely believe that. And for Jalen Brunson to come here, take on the responsibility, take on the challenge of getting this team to what they achieved on Saturday by winning the championship made it all the worth it. And then remember, this is his second contract with this team. He signed the extension, leaving hundreds, well, over $100 million on the table. He left it on the table, guys, in order for this team to build around him. And now he will enjoy the fruits of that labor. This opens yourself up to endorsement deals. This opens yourself up to a world of things as far as financial goes. So he's going to get his money hook or crook after doing what he just did. So definitely kudos to him. And then talking about him, a lot of people talked about the overpaying that the Knicks did. Remember, because I talked about that when I talked about the episode, Anthony Simons got a similar deal. In fact, he got $1 million less than Jalen, and nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. Who would you rather have today, Jalen Brunson or Anthony Simons? I don't even think you have to hesitate to answer that one. So there you go. And like I said, I'd rather have a player coming from a winning program where he was there with a Jason Kidd and that team that made it all the way to the finals. I'd rather have a player like that than a guy, accumulating numbers on a losing team. I brought up the Chris Childs example because that's what the Knicks did. They got Chris Childs. He was killing with the Nets who weren't winning much. Then when he got here, kind of a shell of himself, but nonetheless. And he was 25 years old when he got here, guys. So this is a guy who still has, he still has some. He's in his prime. He's in his prime, guys. So again, the New York ties, and another phrase that Alan Hahn used. He has blood in the ground. As far as his father was a Knick. So they know what this program is all about. So they know what wearing this jersey is all about. Let's put it that way. So, hey, it benefited well. And then remember, too, his father was on that 1998-99 team. So he felt the sting of that loss to the Spurs. So I'm sure this was rewarding for him as well. So, but what more can you say about Jalen Brunson? 6'1", point guard. And, a lot of people are, going after Becky Hammon now for the comments she made. A small guard can't lead a team to the championship. Here's what I'll say about Becky Hammon. Historically, she's right. There's only a few guards that can lead, that has led their team to championships. It's a short list, guys. Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas. That's it. That's the list. So Jalen Brunson enters that conversation. That's the kind of run he's been on, guys. Absolutely amazing. So historically, she's right, but I think she needed to look at the player and say, maybe this kid has something special. Maybe he does before I write him off. So, I'm sure they'll be asking her tonight because they have a game tonight. I'm sure they'll be asking her about what do you think of Jalen Brunson winning the championship since you said a small guard can't do it. She's going to get the questions and she's going to have to ante up. Now, remember, she doubled down on what she said, and she was root for the Spurs anyway. She's a Spurs product, if you will. Coach, being a coach under Greg Popovich. So you knew she wasn't going against the Spurs in these finals, but I'll be interested to see what her take is now. But again, historically, she's right, but she should have had the wherewithal to see maybe something special is happening with this kid. So I'll just leave it there. So there you go there. Karl Anthony Towns. Now, I went back and listened to the episode when they made the trade for him. Again, Knick Fan TV, CP the franchise was all over this. He predicted it in July, and then it happened in September of that season. That was the 2023-24 season. So, yeah, so he had predicted it. So, and there was questions when he got here about him being able to play with Coach Tom Thibodeau because, remember, they were together in Minnesota. But what people don't realize, and I brought to light, he did go to 2 All-Star games and played fabulous basketball under Tibbs. So that shouldn't be a problem, which it wasn't. I said he's not a diva. He's a guy who will come in and buy into the program. He's a community guy and a guy from Dominican Republic. So, Washington Heights will be representing. But I thought he was a perfect fit for this team because he won't come in and rock the boat. You don't need a guy coming in, making it all about them. And Karl Anthony Towns never struck me as that type of guy. So big ups to him. And you saw a different cat here, especially in this playoff run. You saw what he's capable of doing and how he can make a difference. I thought it was a seamless transition, but I think this season really culminated what he can do as far as that goes. And I don't want to hear none of the Giannis Antetokounmpo nonsense. I'm done. Keep Cat where he is. He could only improve and get better on the Mike Brown. So, and do what this team needs him to do. He's not a diva. Again, he's a guy who buys into your program and he'll do whatever it takes to make this program successful. So keep Karl Anthony Towns. I don't want to hear the Giannis stuff. I ain't trying to hear that. So there you go there. And then remember too, guys, that Mitchell Robinson was not going to be ready for the season, which really pushed them to do it because they were thinking about 2 other guys, Walker Kessler and Nick Richards. Now, amongst those 3, who would you rather have? I don't care about the salary. Karl Anthony Towns is the person you would want to have. So there you go. So kudos to Leon Rose for pulling the trigger on that deal, which wasn't all that well received. People are happy to get rid of Julius Randle, but part of that deal was Dante DiVincenzo, who, oh, by the way, set a Knick record for 3-point goals made. So that deal was not seen in the best of lights because of that. So, but give him his credit for pulling the trigger on that deal. So there you go there. Then, of course, you have the OG Anunoby deal, which was a gamble. This was another gamble. You're giving away 2 young pieces, 2 players who were brought up in the system, and RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley. So, the problem was Emmanuel Quickley was about to be a free agent, so he was going to command big money. So, so that would have hamstrung your salary cap. So So there was that. But OG's been as good as advertised. He's, the whole issue with him was the health, the hamstring. He always seemed to have the hamstring injury. In fact, he had it during the playoffs, but thankfully he recovered thanks to the Knicks bludgeoning the opposition. He was able to rest, so it all worked out. But OG Anunoby, vital to this team. And Game 4, he will always be remembered for that. Everybody want to call it the shot. I don't call it the shot. I call it the tip. The tip in. The tip in is what saved the Knicks and steered them towards the championship. So big ups to him. Josh Hart, remember when we got him? I went back to listen to that episode. An absolute dog. He's the junkyard dog. He'll do anything that the team needs. Fine rebounder for his height. I thought it was a match made in heaven. That's why I said on that episode, and how right I was. He has been that and then some, guys. And then you have Mikal Bridges. I don't want to hear a peep about those 5 draft picks. I don't want to hear it. To get an NBA championship with this guy being the two-way player that he is, giving the team what he gave them. Would you want more scoring from him? Sure, but having to defend these guys, it isn't all that easy. And plus, he's like an Iron Man. He plays every game, so I don't want to hear a word about those picks. So I'm done hearing about those picks. To get a championship, somebody said it online. I agree. I'll give away 5 more draft picks if I'm going to get a championship. So there you go. So Mikal Bridges, Villanova guy as well. So you have the bond there between him, Brunson, and Hart. Guys who won championships together in college. Now here on the pro level have done the same thing. So definitely kudos to him. Every Knick fan should be happy that this man is in a Knick uniform. So there you go. And then remember, right around that time, you had Paul George, who was going to be a free agent. He ends up with Philly. And then you had the possibility of getting a Jimmy Butler. You would have had to trade to get a Jimmy Butler, which means you have to give up assets. I don't think Leon Rose wanted to give 5 draft picks to the Miami Heat. I don't think he would have done that. I don't think he would have done that. I think he would rather, which is crazy, he would rather give them to the Nets, who's a crosstown rival, quote unquote, than giving it to Miami, because he know what Miami would do with those picks. So there you go there. But nonetheless, there you go with that. And then you have Mitchell Robinson, the longest tenured Knick, getting a championship ring. He's seen the bad days, the 17-win teams. He was there up until now. So vital to this team. Listen, you don't have too many quality backup centers in this league, and a guy who can step in a pinch. Mitchell Robinson is that. So I hope not to see the guy go. I understand he's a free agent, but I hope not to see him go. He's a fun-loving guy, but, when called upon, he rises to the occasion. Love to see him do better with free throws, but that's a story for another day. But Mitchell Robinson gets a ring. Landry Shamet, like I said, he's a guy who, remember, at the start of the season, it was a choice between him and Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon decided to retire, which opened up a spot for Shamet. So, and the Knicks couldn't be happier now that you look at it. So, Landry Shamet, a guy who's bounced around this league, guys, but somehow, some way, he fits in with what they do here with the Knicks. So, kudos to him. Guys like Jordan Clarkson and Jose Alvarado. Jordan Clarkson, he was a luxury piece, to be honest with you guys, but he had his moments when he was able to get in there. So, in fact, he hit, like I said, he had a bit of a moment there in Game 3. So, he's instant offense, and listen, he was with the Utah Jazz. You don't think he's happy to be here? Getting himself a championship ring, being part of this. So he's a happy guy. And then Jose Alvarado, this man, undrafted, goes to the New Orleans Pelicans. He carves out a spot with them. Then he gets traded here to the Knicks. Now, going from the dregs of the league to on the mountaintop for Jose Alvarado. Probably the happiest man here, being a New York through and through Brooklynite, getting the championship rings. This is stuff that kids dream of. You dream of a chance of playing in the fourth quarter in a championship game, being a vital piece, a vital part of what a team does to get the win. Jose Alvarado's beside himself. So I think he does exercise that player option and stay. He loves it here. So he's back home at that price. I think he takes it. So kudos to him. And then your other player, Deuce McBride. Between him and Mitchell Robinson, these are besides the younger players, of course. I'm talking rotational guys. These are your two homegrowns among those guys. So Deuce, he had an up and down season. He had health issues that he dealt with. But Deuce, I met the kid. Nice kid. Nice kid. So I hope he stays as well. Well, he's under contract, so he will be here. So there you go. And then, of course, getting a Jeremy Sohan. I think the CH is silent, or the C is silent. Getting him, guys, actually was kind of a feather in the cap of this team. San Antonio, they let him loose, and the Knicks scooped him up. I think he was able to give the Knicks some insight into what goes on behind the walls of the San Antonio franchise. So I think that's a under the radar pickup that really paid dividends in these playoffs. He played some, but not a whole lot. But I think he's a guy who could have opportunity here. Who knows? And then again, like I said, Mohamed Diawara, I think he has promise in this league. A lot of people compare him to Pascal Siakam. So, hey, listen. So, bring him back, send him to the summer league, let him tear it up over there, and maybe he'll get an opportunity over here. But I think he could be a rotational player when all is said and done. He has promise. So there you go. Like I said, also Pacom Didiot. I'm not sure what they want to do with him. I think, he's caught in the numbers game here. Tyler Kolek, he's under contract, so he'll remain. Kevin McCullough Jr., you still have him. Ariel Hotporty, I would like to see him come back. Dylan Jones, I ain't really see much of him, so there you go. But all in all, kudos to the Knicks. And then lastly, before I go, I do want to send a shout out to Mike Breen. This is a guy who, he's the play-by-play man for the New York Knicks. Of course, it's a shame you didn't hear him call games with the great Walt Clyde Frazier, but he works for the network, so we're able to hear him that way. Albeit he had to be paired up with Tim Legler and Richard Jefferson, for crying out loud. But he's a consummate pro. So uh, someone who grew up as a Knicks fan, calling the Knicks games, that's a dream come true for him to call a championship clinching game for a team he grew up rooting for. Can't be anything better than that. So definitely kudos to him. He was close to a friend I lost back in COVID in 2020, and I know he's smiling now from where he is. He was a big time Knick fan. So again, Mike Breen, class act through and through, and so glad he got an opportunity to call the series for the New York Knicks. And then finally, the radio crew that worked all throughout the season and through these playoffs, Tyler Murray and Monica McNutt. I tell you what, when when it wasn't Mike Breen there calling the games, I would listen to the radio so I could hear them. They have such a great chemistry together. It was a joy to hear them. Monica McNutt, she does an amazing job. Tyler Murray, he does Eva Radio, and he fills in for Mike Breen when he's off doing ESPN stuff. But these two are rising stars in this business. So kudos to them. So much so I got them right there. That's my radio team there. Kudos to you guys. So there you go. All right, and then I'll just talk about the OG Knicks that were there. Patrick Ewing, who's part of the organization now. To see that moment with him and Karl Anthony Towns embrace, that was so beautiful to see. He's been through the wars. He never got the brass ring, so to speak. So him being part of this franchise as they win their first, a beautiful sight to see. Of course, you have John Starks as well, ambassador here. Larry Johnson as well. Latrell Sprewell. Stephon Marbury. I mean, I could go on. All the OG Knicks. It's the characters. I can't even name them all. But yeah, to see these guys, and then to see Charles Oakley, albeit he was in San Antonio celebrating, seeing the team win. That was beautiful. I heard Stephen A, appealing to the owner, James Dolan, to, mend the fences with him. It's not as easy as you saying. They have to. Charles Oakley has burnt some bridges, not with Dolan, but with some of the the former Knicks, especially Patrick Ewing. So that has to be mended before I think Dolan does anything. And let me say this about Dolan, and then I'll close. I don't think you're going to be well received at that parade because a lot of people are going to say that game 3, you killed the momentum of this team. Thank goodness for game 4 for the Wu-Tang Clan to come in there and cleanse the palate, cleanse the building. And I saw people out there doing their sage in front of the building after game 3. I was like, y'all are doing the work there. Much appreciated there. But yeah, thank goodness for the Wu-Tang Clan. There you go. So, but yeah, Dolan, expect a tough way to go with the fans come Thursday. Thursday, June 18th. Unfortunately, I won't be here. I made travel plans well before this. So I see, Knicks making this run. But hey, I'm glad they did. I tell you what, I'm glad they did. So, yeah, I am happy. I'm elated. Loved ones that have gone on that were Knick fans as well. This one is for you guys as well. I've been rooting for this team for since 1980, and there's been some moments. There's been some tough moments. There's been some near misses, but to see this team do it absolutely fills me with joy. So there you go. There. All right, guys. I thank you for listening. Now, you know, my next episode, I'm doing fan reaction, guys. I'm getting reactions from people who I know who are Knick fans, who are kind of in the media space or in the basketball sphere, if you will. So, trying to get some folks to come on. So, I got one person. Well, I got folks lined up. So, it's going to be a fun episode. It's going to be fun to kind of pick the brains of others who have been rooting for this team, who may not have been rooting for this team, or just observer, if you will. But it's going to be fun. So I look forward to it. All right, guys. All things basketball with GD.com is the website. There you find my clips, my full episodes. Also, guys, YouTube channel, I got that running. All podcast platforms, I'm on those as well. Apple, all the places there. 5-star reviews, guys. 5-star reviews. And be a supporter of this show, guys. In the scroll, I got many ways you can do that. Buy me a coffee, PayPal, Spotify, donate. My Cash App is always there, $GD, that's Sports Dude. Again, $GD, that's Sports Dude. And social media, that is Instagram, TikTok, some Blue Sky, some Facebook also. So tomorrow, live, guys, live. It will be on YouTube. It'll be on Facebook. It'll be on Instagram, going live. So check it out. All right, guys, I thank you for listening as always. We will talk soon. Take care and go Knicks.